From the brake pad division of Callahan Auto, it's the IGN Digigods. And now, two guys who've never went cow tipping before. It's Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
And we are back in the sweltering Southern California heat. Corey, to whom do we owe that very astute and clever opening?
That was written by Brian Swagel. Rhymes with bagel. Probably not a Jew, though. Could be a Jew. I'm a Jew.
There's nothing more enjoyable than seeing what Corey will come up with when he ad-libs.
He's wacky.
It's just a lot of fun.
He's wacky.
It's a lot of fun.
Wait, no one cares.
What is with this heat? Seriously, it's May. What's the deal?
It's 3
what did
degrees
you do?
cooler than hell.
What did you do?
I don't know. I don't like it. Anything over 65 degrees and I get ornery.
It's your fault.
So wait,
It's
I have this
entirely your
Kindle,
fault.
right? I have this Kindle.
Oh, gosh.
So I'm deciding if I should buy...
Let me see that.
Huh?
Give me
I
that
love
thing.
this thing.
Give me
This
that
is
thing.
fantastic.
Give me that thing. Give me that thing.
Well, hang on. Hang on. Well, you have to... You don't know how to use it.
I know how to use a Kindle.
Do you really?
I do.
Do you have a Kindle?
I have Kindle software on just about everything I own.
So I bought 12 Years a Slave,
Yes, you did.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The book, which is amazing.
That's not Show What Led You For.
It is not.
No.
But the book is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. So I'm deciding what to buy next, and I think I might buy Gone Girl. Now, the reason why I might buy Gone Girl...
Have you watched the trailer?
Well, I'm not...
It's like the Cliff Notes for the movie. I mean, like for the book. You've seen the trailer. You don't need to read the book.
Well...
You've seen the trailer. You don't need to read. You don't need to see the movie.
Well, that's not true. Well, here's why I would like to buy the book.
Yes.
Supposedly the book is amazing.
Right.
That's why I like to buy the book. The reason why I don't want to buy the book is because then I'll know what's going to happen in the movie, and it is the David Fincher movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, do I want to spoil a David Fincher movie, or do I want to experience the original source material, which is supposedly amazing? I'm not sure. Plus, it's also $9.
All right.
Wait, we're doing a show. Will you stop staring at the Kindle?
Okay. Yeah, I'm just noticing here. Customers who bought this book also bought The Nazi Officer's Wife.
Oh, you kidding?
Little Girl Lost, The Book Thief,
Wow.
Auschwitz,
Wow.
Orphan Train.
Wait. Does Gone Girl have to do with the Holocaust?
No, I'm saying 12 Years a Slave.
Oh, 12 Years
It's
a
just
Slave.
like, it pretty much what they're saying is that anyone who bought 12 Years a Slave also bought a whole lot of horrible books about the history's worst events because these people love to punish themselves. They're all masochists. Awesome, man, this slavery book is great. I'm going to go dig up the Holocaust. Maybe we'll get something on gulags and then the killing fields. And I'm going to go to town.
12 Years it's great. It's a great book. You know
No, it
why?
is.
Because it is a first-person account.
This happened to me.
Like, every time there's any dialogue, like, you know, my master walked up to me and said, you know, a line,
happened.
It would be like gold. Because here's the thing.
Yeah.
You know when you watch these like movies that take place in the 1800s or
Yeah.
slavery, and everyone's talking like what's her name from Gone with the Wind?
Yeah.
And you're like, that's just such a cliche.
Yeah.
You know, somehow Hollywood made that up. And Massa,
Yeah.
how's it going? You know what? That's how they spoke.
I know.
Because this guy, Solomon Northup, in this amazing book, 12 Years a Slave, he is giving you direct quotes from the other slaves, from the masters who burdened him.
There you
and all
go.
that sort of, and that's how people really talked.
I know.
And it was unbelievable. So I would
know.
highly recommend you buy 12 Years a Slave. 'Cause it's awesome.
Well. We should talk about, apart from the heat.
I'm going to buy Gone Girl right now on this show.
You do that. And as long as we got the heat just melting us.
The air conditioner's on.
I know, but I'm just saying in Southern
You want some ice
California
cream?
generally.
Oh, I have ice cream for you.
Oh, great.
It's,
I already had ice cream this
chocolate-
evening.
It's chocolate sorbet. It's just, all I have is a little bit left of it because I need to get rid of it because I am making chocolate coconut sorbet.
I had half a pint of ice cream after dinner.
Half a
The
pint.
other half of the half pint that I had yesterday.
Okay, no one cares.
Which is new from McConnell's. You know McConnell's in Santa Barbara?
I have opened up...
Freaking love McConnell's.
Okay, first of all, you just swore. Second of all, I have opened up your refrigerator, your freezer.
Yeah.
And when you open up your freezer...
Yeah. So.
It is like a McConnell's outlet store.
Well, there's a lot of Haagen-Dazs. There's actually more Haagen-Dazs than McConnell's. But it's true. There's a lot of McConnell's in there.
Yes, there is.
Yeah. At any given time, we have usually between 30 and 40 pints of ice cream in the freezer.
So seriously, that's not a joke.
No, it's not a joke.
30. I must have. I mean, I figured it was about a couple dozen pints.
No, it's
But you've got more.
between 30 and 40 pints.
Okay, why is that?
Every time there's a sale at Gelson's, I can't control myself.
All right, I'm buying Gone Girl right now.
That's why.
By the way, the other reason why I didn't want to buy Gone Girl is because it seems to be about a marriage, and because I'm not married and have never been married, I may not understand it as much. But
it's a good trailer, but I get it.
I'm talking about the book.
Oh.
Anyway, the point being, do you want the rest of the sorbet or not?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Of course you do.
Of course.
All right, I'm gonna go get it.
Yeah, fine.
Because I'm making chocolate coconut sorbet.
Well,
right
then while you're doing that, I'm going to burn through this stack real quickly. A bunch of kind of B-movie type deals. A lot of stuff that we don't often have time to sort of focus on, but it's worth making a mention of for people who want to see something a little more exploitation-y or whatever. From Screen Media Darkside, their horror line, we have the Ganzfeld Haunting. It's okay. It's another one of those deals where a bunch of students try to think we're going to have a game and we're going to let's just play at recreating something, and it winds up summoning ghosts and everything gets real spooky and horrific. Standard kind of boilerplate. Junk from Breaking Glass is pretty good. It's very tongue in cheek. It's very insightful, but it's basically about it's very kind of inside film school, inside the indie film biz, and it's very cynical and very bitter. If you have any experience with this world, this will be very therapeutic for you. And the nice thing is, James Hong, who I haven't seen since reruns of Kung Fu, also shows up. So definitely check out Junk. And there's a whole marijuana angle to it.
Damn right.
Which, will play well in Colorado. Sparks, The Origin of Ian Sparks, based on the graphic novel. I've never heard of the graphic novel. But there is one thing that's interesting about this. And this takes place after a giant meteor has hit the Earth, and it creates this kind of X-Men-y group that becomes kind of known as the Rochester 13. And this guy, Ian Sparks, is sort of emerges as the dominant one. Anyway, it's pretty good for a lower-level wannabe superhero movie. The one thing that's interesting about it is that William Catt is in it, and I just couldn't get past the fact... Clint Howard is in this, too, by the way.
Yeah, but William Catt's in it.
Tranya. I can't look at Clint Howard without thinking of Gentle Banded Tranya.
Tranya.
That's all I can think of.
This
anyway,
is
William Catt's in
Tranya.
this, and of course William Catt,
I hope you like it as much as I.
The original greatest American hero, a superhero that we don't give credit to often enough. The Suspect with Mekhi Phifer and William Sadler is also kind of boilerplate, but generally pretty well done. Written and directed by a guy named Stuart Connolly, and it's a bank robbery, bank robbery kind of thriller. The nice thing about this is that Mekhi Phifer is a really good actor, deserves better material than this, and so is William Sadler, who always gets saddlered with material like this. I wish they'd do better stuff, but when they get stuck with stuff like this, they're like, okay, we're going to give it our all, and they make it better. We've got, let's see, what else do I got here? Riot, based on true events. Cannot imagine how loosely this is. Anyway, this is it's a riot movie, man. And I have to wonder, why would you just make a movie in which the whole point is to essentially stage a riot? There is a personal angle to it. There's a bit of a story, but it's not enough. It's just sort of like they wanted to stage a riot, and that's what they wanted to do. All Things to All Men is a heist film that is better than it really ought to be, because they really secured a much, much better cast than they had any business securing. This is okay. Gabriel Byrne, I'm getting sick of him. I'm really getting sick of him, mostly thanks to Vikings. But Rufus Sewell, who never really had the career that he deserved. Toby Stevens, good actor. And Julian Sands shows up again, the guy who was Mr. Camp from the 1980s. Not bad. It's a very decent kind of UK cast, and pretty well done all the way through. Not the best script, and could have used a little bit more money, but it's all right. Good cast. A movie called Back in the Day. There are like 17 different movies called Back in the Day. This one is a kind of a high school reunion type, just partying douchebag movie. That's all it is, really. bunch of guys that you've never heard of. There is no one of note in this cast. They're all no names. And they're just getting together on their 20th high school reunion. They're gonna party, and that's it. And it doesn't really. It wants to be kind of. It thinks that it's The Big Chill coming out. By the way, on
oh my God,
Criterion. Are you excited or what?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. You betcha.
Totally. Oh, by the way, do we have the Criterion for Ace in the Hole?
Not yet.
What?
Not yet.
I want it now.
Well, when does it come out?
Who cares? I want it now.
Why would you even ask me that? I mean, it's...
Because I think it comes out now.
Hold on.
No,
Hang on.
You talk about crap that no one cares about.
Hang on. I will confirm this. I will reconfirm this with the calendar.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Across to Bear with Danielle Deadweiler, Jackie Long, Kim Fields, and Melinda Williams. Kim Fields, who, of course...
It comes out today, May 6th. It's like happening right now.
Oh, man. Hold on. We're Ace in the Hole.
Ace in the Hole. All right, I just bought Gone Girl. Of course, it crashed my Kindle.
Yeah,
I had to restart
Ace in the Hole. Hold on a second. Let me see. Yeah, we are Ace in the Hole. We do not have Ace in the Hole. I'm wondering what the delay on that is. That's interesting.
But here's the thing. You need to admit to the world that Ace in the Hole is worth buying. Because it is completely awesome. It is completely awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to have to... We've actually missed a few Criterions, and I'm going to have to follow up on that. Anyway.
One of Billy Wilder's best films.
Yep.
Actually, Ace in the Hole was lost. It was kind of like that lost Billy Wilder film they don't really talked about.
Totally.
And then Criterion really rescued it.
Anyway, Across to Bear is actually pretty moving. It's a little bit tawdry, a little tawdry. I shouldn't say tawdry. A little bit
country, a little bit rock and roll.
No, it's a little bit maudlin, not tawdry, but maudlin. But it is a story about oh gosh, how do I do this without giving anything away? It's tragedy. Let's just say it's a story about tragedy, about a young mother's tragedy. And it's very sweet. And Kim Fields is quite good in it, and she doesn't hardly act anymore. Kim Fields was on Facts of Life, and then she went to Pepperdine University, and I was subjected to watching her as a news anchor on the university station every night.
You take the good, you take the bad.
It was a lick. Thank you. And then Black Coffee is one of those horrible, horrible films that is getting released now that Robert Johnson, the BET billionaire, now that he owns Image, he's just releasing these it's like, let's just get a black cast and put them in just some really just ridiculous, horrible romantic comedy, and it doesn't make it good, man. It just doesn't. The material has to be good. You gotta, come on. And the actors are okay. I mean, I feel bad for the actors. They're all just doing, trying to get their careers on track. Gabrielle Dennis is a good actor. And Erica Hubbard's a good actor, and Christian Keys is a good actor, but they're not going to get much traction out of this. So, anyway. And then lastly, I do want to recommend a movie that should have probably had a theatrical release and did not. This is from E1. It's called Twice Born, stars Penelope Cruz and Emil Hirsch. You would think with a cast like that and being directed by Sergio Castellitto, the awesome Italian actor and sometime filmmaker, that it would have gotten a little bit of traction. He directed Penelope Cruz previously to a Best Actress award at some festival. And this is actually pretty good. It takes place in Sarajevo, and it deals with the war there, and it's just a really well put together film, and I think it deserved a lot better. So why it didn't get more exposure, I don't know, but it's definitely worth checking out. It's definitely worthy of cinematic release, theater release, and Twice Born with Penelope Cruz and Emil Hirsch by Sergio Castellitto. Definitely check it out. I'm not a big Emil Hirsch fan, but Penelope Cruz, pretty awesome. Really good. All right, Mark, let's talk about some newish movies.
Newish? That's funny. He doesn't look newish.
Yes.
It was Wade, James Cromwell, who I like a lot,
yeah,
and Genevieve Bujold, who doesn't really work a lot anymore, right? Doesn't really work a lot, don't work much anymore. And Campbell Scott, who never really had the career he should have had, being George C. Scott's son, starred in a movie called Still Mine. Now, I'm not really going to recommend that you go and buy this because, it's kind of like, who cares? Because it's like James Cromwell.
Right.
But it's not bad. It's not bad. It is about how do I explain this? It's about this guy who, James Cromwell, wants to build a bigger home for his wife because her memory's failing, and he wants to do this for her. And so there's a government inspector who tries to thwart the whole thing, and it's that kind of story. So it's kind of like one man versus the government trying to do this thing for his wife, and it's very sincere, which I liked. The performances are splendid, and it's a nice little movie. I mean, it's really kind of something for your parents because it stars old people. And when I say old people, I mean people more than 40.
Yep.
But it's kind of nice. It's kind of a nice movie. It reminds me a little bit of My Life as a House with Kevin Kline. But,
Yeah.
So it's not bad. It's it's a tender little movie. It's based on a true story, and it's not bad. It's still mine. Now we have on 3D, 2D, Blu-ray, and Ultraviolet HD, The Legend of Hercules. Now this is the Rennie Harlin film that stars Kellen Lutz, and I don't know. You know what? These kids from Twilight, they're getting a lot of. Kellen Lutz is in Twilight, right? They're getting a lot of bad advice. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, why do you do this movie? It can't possibly be good unless you're doing it because you know it's going to be cheesy and campy and silly. But I don't think that's a reason to do the movie. I mean, I think what happens is you get this guy Kellen Lutz. He was in Twilight, but he was like, whatever, fourth banana. And his people say to him, "Now, Kellen, here's the thing. We can actually get you above the title in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You will be a star above the title."
Totally.
It's Hercules, directed by Rennie Harlin. Rennie Harlin directed
Rennie Harlin, dude, is
Die Hard 2.
Nah.
I love Die Hard 2. So you're like, oh my God, you're Kellen Lutz. You're like, really? Above the title? Me? Rennie Harlin, Die Hard 2? I'm in.
Yeah, but Rennie...
But it winds up being Hercules. It's terrible.
And
then he winds up just suffering. Like these guys get bad advice, just sold a bill of goods by their people. And by the way, their agents and people who push them to do Hercules, they don't care whether Kellen Lutz has a 50-year career or a 2-month career. All they want is their 10%. Maybe it was a package deal. Maybe Rennie's with the same agency.
Well.
And meanwhile, Kellen,
There
who
it
really
is.
should be like the second or third banana in a good movie with a good director, winds up being above the title in a piece of crap like Hercules.
Speaking of, what was the name of that guy who was all the rage for a moment in some movie called Avatar, and he made a
Sam
Terminator?
Worthington.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And his dog Spot. Mm-hmm. Wait, eat the ice cream.
Oh, the ice cream. Thank you.
Now, that's sorbet. Now, it's a little grainy because it's been
Okay.
sitting in my freezer for about a month now.
Mm.
And so
All right.
you don't even care.
I don't care.
All right, give me another thing to talk
Okay.
about.
Hold on.
Anyway, Hercules
Okay.
is terrible. I mean,
Yes.
honestly, people, come on.
Okay. Hold on.
Yes, ma'am. May I
Hold
help
on.
you?
Hold on. While I eat this, while I consume this,
Well, you can sue it.
while I consume this, I will let you talk about this overrated horror film called Mr. Jones.
Now, Mr. Jones is not based on the Hootie and the Blowfish. No,
It's also not based on the Richard Gere film about the guy with the bipolar disorder, which was also called Mr. Jones. This is a horror film.
Now, this is
It's not bad, but it ain't great.
No, it's a piece of junk. It stars John Foster and Sarah Jones. Sarah Jones is on that show, Sons of Anarchy, and Foster and Jones they play this couple. They just move to this cabin in the woods, and because they want to, escape, urban life and breathe new life into their art, and they realize that, like any cabin in the woods, they're not alone.
Oh, no, man.
It's unbelievable.
That's not right.
I know. So anyway, this thing takes itself way too seriously.
Uh-huh.
I actually kind of had to skim through it after a while because I just couldn't take it anymore. It takes itself really seriously, too seriously, and it's not that scary, and it's just kind of confusing, kind of tedious, and the monster or the guy who's torturing them is whatever. I don't see any sequels there, quite frankly.
No.
So yeah, it's bad times. Mr. Jones, directed by somebody who will never
All right.
direct anything else. Was that good?
Yeah, it was good. A little icy.
Well, because it's been sitting in my freezer for gathering ice crystals for the last 6 weeks.
It's okay. It's a protective ice layer. What's that from? The protective ice.
Protective
Oh my
Ice.
gosh, dude! How can you forget this?
The Thing.
Mother, Albert Brooks.
Oh God, I haven't
The
seen
Protective
that movie in
Ice.
years.
Oh my
kidding me?
gosh! All right, Great Expectations. I thought for sure this was going to get a theatrical release here, and nope, no way. Mike Newell, who's no slouch, man. I mean, Mike Newell's like a major director. Mike Newell directed Enchanted April. He directed a Harry Potter film, a terrible Harry Potter film, mind you, but he still directed a Harry Potter film. He's a major British director. He's Mike Newell. Four Weddings and a Funeral. I mean, give me a break. Anyway, Mike Newell made a version of Great Expectations, the Charles Dickens novel, which has a fantastic cast, by the way. I mean, it's got Helena Bonham Carter as Mrs. What's her name?
Steve?
The creepy old lady in the wedding dress,
Steve?
whose name I always forget. Anyway, come on, give me a break. It's like, why would you not really just give this a little bit of an art house push? Give it, jeez. It's not bad. Not as good as the David Lean film. The David Lean film is still the standard by which they are all measured.
Yeah, David Lean.
It is. I mean, that Great Expectations with John Mills is just fantastic. It's just an amazing movie. It's archetypal. I don't know why anyone wanted to. Anyway, Ray Fiennes is in this. Jeremy Irvine, really, really good. It's got an ultraviolet copy on here, an ultraviolet access, and I just don't know why. It's really high production value. It's nicely done. It's, again, not the best version, but it's certainly a very competent version. And I don't know why they wouldn't. It's a good-looking Blu-ray. I don't know why they wouldn't. Anyway, that's recommended. And then at the same time, there's another Great Expectations that is the stage production from the West End. Just about a year ago, February of 2013, on Charles Dickens' birthday, February 7th of 2013, there was a premiere on the West End of a stage production of Great Expectations, and that is available now on DVD, not Blu-ray, but regular DVD, and it is very nice. It's a little weird seeing a stage adaptation of the story, but it works somehow in a strange, peculiar way. And if you enjoy the story, I would recommend both of these, by all means. Veronica Mars. I got to tell you, Veronica Mars is like... Here was my experience with Veronica Mars. It's like I was invited to a party where everyone knew each other, but I didn't know anybody.
Yeah, it's not my thing.
That's my Veronica Mars experience. It didn't... I never saw the TV show, so I really don't know what the whole drill is. But anyway, it's basically Nancy Drew for the millennial generation,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
There you go. So
Not my thing.
there's like a whole deal, and this was a big deal on a Kickstarter, right? There's a Kickstarter and Veronica Mars, and we're going to bring it back, and then they kickstarted who knows how much, and I don't know how it got finished. Anyway, there's a lot of PR in that too. Okay, so Kristen Bell is like some detective girl whose dad used to be a cop and had to become a PI because he was framed for some damn thing. It's a whole big prologue that explains the entire backstory. It blows by in about 18 seconds. I didn't follow it very well. And then some dude that she was a boyfriend, he was her boyfriend on the show. He's like in the Navy now or something, and he's been framed for murdering some woman that was going to be his wife or his girlfriend or something, and so she's got to get to the bottom of it, and it all centers around their high school reunion. So she's got to go back to this little town that doesn't really exist somewhere in California. Anyway, it's...
You realize that after all that Kickstarter hullabaloo, this movie's only made $3.3 million.
I know.
That's it.
I know. Whatever. It's on
whatever.
Blu-ray. You know what? If you love the TV show, I'm sure you will love this movie. There's nothing particularly offensive about it, but it's just Nancy Drew. It's just a Nancy Drew murder mystery, and it's really, once it all kind of wraps out, you're like, all right, but for whatever that was.
The budget was $6 million.
Jeez.
It made $3 million.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, so you know what? Let's everybody forget the Kickstarter already.
Yeah, that's wow, whatever. Gimme Shelter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
What?
It's not the Gimme Shelter you're thinking of.
Oh.
This is an indie film called Gimme Shelter with
Dud.
Vanessa Hudgens as a very troubled young woman
Dud.
who runs away from her crack and meth head mom, played by Rosario Dawson.
Dud.
And runs to the family of the man who fathered her many, many, many years earlier, which would be Brendan Fraser. But he's respectable now and has a wife and kids and the whole thing. And she was his youthful mistake, and she's kind of like this, rough kid from the hood and just got out of a bad situation. And it is essentially a movie about this woman trying to sort of come to grips with her, who she is, and how he kind of tries to come to grips with the fact that he has this daughter that he knew about her but hadn't had a contact with until she was an adult. So anyway, it's trying to be this really touching human drama. It partially succeeds, not terribly well. It's just a little too dark and heavy-handed. But I'll tell you, I give Vanessa Hudgens credit for trying to do something a little different.
Hey, come on, Spring Breakers.
This is more of a real acting part. That's all camp. And
I love Spring Breakers. It's awesome.
It's crap. Junk.
What?
Anyway, this is a Blu-ray and ultraviolet set.
Oh.
Mark, we love the Ocean's 11 and 12 and 13 films, right? We like them.
I like them more than I like the original Ocean's 11.
Yeah, absolutely. Clooney, he's on, right? He's the dude.
Yeah,
he's the man.
course.
All right. He's married. He's getting married now.
I know. It's exciting.
Wow.
Well, you could not have built a better fiance. She's like a human rights lawyer who went to Yale. She's 37 years old. She's moderately age appropriate.
Yeah.
At least she's not like 23.
Question: Are they going to have kids? That's what I'm wondering.
I don't know.
Are they going to be little Clooney's? He loves kids,
Look, if Clooney is to Warren Beatty what this woman is to Annette Bening, finally tamed the beast.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Beatty's got, they got kids.
Well, speaking of, The Art of the Steal. This is one of those Canadian films, one of those Canadian tax credit movies that are constantly coming out. They how that works, right? There's tons of money in Canada to make films on basically an almost Hollywood budget. So, they'll be able to make it look kind of like a Hollywood studio film for, maybe $25, $30 million tops, sometimes 15, looks like 40. And they get maybe 2 or 3 Hollywood stars, and they lard the rest of the thing up with Canadian actors and a Canadian director. And then they release it, and it winds up getting a little traction outside Canada, and they make their money back. And it's all kind of sort of government subsidized. The Art of the Steal is one of those. Most of those movies, like The Colony, they're crap. They're junk. They're horrible. They're just, they're schlocky. They're B. They're maybe B+. This thing is great. This is a terrific freaking movie. I'm going to go online. I'm going to go on the record saying this is better than Ocean's 11.
What?
It's better than Ocean's 11. And it's a very similar soundtrack. So they know that they're kind of in that swamp. They know they're in the neighborhood. This is a terrific movie. Absolutely terrific movie. Who would have thought? Kurt Russell and Matt Dillon play brothers. They're half brothers, and they're longtime partners in crime. And there was they do heists and cons. And there's one that went bad, really, really bad. Went very south many years earlier, and Kurt Russell wound up in prison. Matt Dillon got off scot-free. And years later, after Kurt Russell's out of prison, Matt Dillon comes roaming back, and I got a thing for you. And he's like, you know what, dude? I'm doing lame motorcycle stunts at carnivals and stuff now. Get out of my life. But, as it happens, they decide, okay, let's try to do this. And it all centers around a rare book, a very rare manuscript. They're going to heist a rare manuscript, right? Okay. Jay Baruchel is in this. Terrence Stamp is terrific in this thing. Terrence Stamp plays like an old con man who's been...
it doesn't matter what he plays,
never
he's
mind.
awesome.
He's awesome. Anyway, I will give you nothing else. I will just say this is a terrific script. I never got ahead of the script. I usually get ahead of these movies by minute 10. I can, usually with a movie like this, I'm watching it at minute 10. I'm like, that's how it's going to be. This thing, I was glued to it, and so much of the reason I was glued to this is because Kurt freaking Russell is such a great actor. Why do we forget how good he is?
He's one of those guys you sort of take for granted.
You just take him so for granted. He is so good in this. It is mind-boggling.
Like Michael Douglas. You just got to take it for granted. You just assume that he's great. And that's
how has Kurt Russell never been Oscar nominated?
He doesn't take those sort of roles.
He is so good.
He doesn't take those prestige roles.
Man, he is good.
And there's something a little bit campy about it, a little bit comical.
I'll tell you, man, you watch this.
He's not like a serious...
If you like heist movies and con movies and crime films and, fast-talking kind of modern noir movies, I'll tell you, you will love this movie. It is a fantastic Blu-ray. It's out from Anchor Bay. It was released by Radius, the Weinstein Company's kind of semi-genre line. Man, what a terrific movie!
All right,
what
wait,
a terrific movie.
No one cares.
All right.
Okay.
Music.
Music?
I'll let you unspool on music before I do a few docs or something. I'll figure out what I'm going to do.
All right, we got some good music stuff this week, actually. We have... what is this? This is
that thing.
This is a
Here,
CD.
Give me. No, it's not a CD. Hang on. That's it. Actually has a DVD on it. I'll explain this.
We have two comedy. We have one comedy Blu-ray, one comedy DVD, both of which I recommend highly. Jim Gaffigan, Obsessed. Now, Jim Gaffigan is really funny. He's the guy. He works pretty clean.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a strange,
funny.
look, sort of thin, high-pitched voice, and he's the aside comic, where he'll say something
and then he'll do the voice.
He'll do the voice.
Why is he standing there like that? He's so pale. Yeah,
he's
kind of weird, but it's good.
No, he's good. I like Jim Gaffigan a lot, actually. 70 minutes of Jim Gaffigan, and so it's good.
Yep.
Gotta love that. Also, Lewis Black. Now, this was recorded at the Borgata in Atlantic. I hate Atlantic City. You know what? It's funny. We live in Los Angeles, so when we want to go and gamble and pick up prostitutes, which Wade likes to do a lot
all the time,
because we live in the West Coast, we go to Vegas. But if you live in the East Coast, you go to Atlantic City. Atlantic City, I'm telling you, it's an effing dump. They should just start over again. They should raise all those hotels and the boardwalk and just start over again, because compared to Vegas, Atlantic City is crap. But Lewis Black, funny. Obviously very political. Obviously swears a lot, which is whatever. He is great. So I would definitely recommend both Obsessed by Jim Gaffigan and Lewis Black, Old Yeller, live at the Borgata in Atlantic City. The other DVD I have, which is very highly recommended, is The Rise and Fall of the Clash. And this is all about the seminal British punk band and how they pretty much changed rock and roll history. As Joe Strummer could barely sing. They were not great musicians, but they were politically astute, and they were young, and they were loud, and they were catchy, and they were great. So anyway, this is The Rise and Fall of the Clash. Highly recommended for you rock fans, and there you go. Also, I have to say, Wade, we got some stuff coming out.
Yes.
That might be interesting to people.
Yes.
We have my favorite movie of all time, Don't Stop Believin', Every Man's Journey. This is the story of Journey.
Yes.
And how they found themselves a new lead singer on the internet.
It's the strangest
on
story
the
ever.
internet. Steve Perry, not interested. They wind up seeing this guy on YouTube singing Journey songs, and they hire him.
Strangest thing ever.
June 30th, that comes out. Also, we have Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, the Ultimate Revenge Edition Blu-ray, which I don't really need.
Yeah.
But it's out there if you guys want it. July 22nd, the Ultimate Revenge Edition Blu-ray of Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. Also, there's May 27th, How to Train Your Dragon, which I liked a lot, actually. How to Train Your Dragon Collector's Edition Blu-ray, which is, coming out in anticipation of How to Train Your Dragon 2, which hopefully will save DreamWorks Animation. Also, Arrow is releasing 2 Bob Hoskins films.
But it's so
Blu-ray.
It's so sad that
Now,
he's
both
gone.
the-
Man, it's so sad that he's gone.
That's true.
I mean, I know he's been technically gone for a while, but it just breaks my heart. He was just one of a kind, you know?
Long Good Friday and Mona Lisa both being released by Arrow. And then, Hard Day's Night on the UK being released on Blu-ray for you UK fans. And I think that was kind of all I wanted to bring up of interest. Yep, that's it.
All right. Rock and roll.
What do you got, Wade? What's next?
And then also on the music front, Little Feat, live in Holland, 1976. That's Little Feat, F-E-A-T.
Lame.
Are you a fan? You're not a fan of Little Feat, are you? I can't remember. Anyway.
No.
All right. Well, anyway, Lil George and Bill Payne constitute Little Feat, which was one of those late 60s, early 70s acts that was relatively short-lived because Lil George died in 1979. And anyway, this is a CD-DVD combo set, so it harkens all back to that 1976 moment when they were in Holland, performing in Holland. Again, unless you like their stuff, probably won't mean much to you. But for the money, it's not bad. It's a DVD and a CD in one CD jewel box, and it's for fans of this group. I know it's kind of marginal, but it was a seminal moment.
Go watch the Rise and Fall of the Clash.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to blow through some docs before we get on to television and some other stuff. Okay. There's a documentary filmmaker / cinematographer named Peter Mettler, and he is the man. You're going to obviously compare him to, he's not like Godfrey Reggio and the Koyaanisqatsi guys, and it's not really his. That's not his scene particularly, though he's often compared to them. But we got a couple of his films here that are absolutely great. Picture of Light is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I have never seen the Aurora Borealis. I probably never will see the Aurora Borealis because I'd have to go to some horrible godforsaken cold place in the Arctic to actually see it. But I feel like I've seen it, and this is just absolutely wonderful. And it includes obviously the surroundings. You want to know who lives up there, who sees this, and that's all part of this tapestry as well. And it's just absolutely wonderful. You've never seen quite such a poetic documentary about such an extraordinary natural phenomenon. And then he also brings that extraordinary sense of visual poetry to a movie called The End of Time, Everything Begins Now, which is basically just he tries to encapsulate all of our planet, all of humanity and all of time and all of culture into this one globe-trotting movie, and it's just fantastic. You go to the most amazing places, it kind of puts little pins on the planet in places that you would think, well, that's not going to be interesting, and yet it winds up being just an extraordinary little moment, a little gem. It's really, really great, and it tries to sort of suggest that there is something that holds the entire planet together, very much like Koyaanisqatsi, but in a much more accessible way. So those are fantastic. Mercedes Sosa is a legendary Argentine singer, and just for over a half century was just an exceptional figure, just giant, towering all through Latin America. And very few folk singers have actually risen to that level. And this is a documentary called Mercedes Sosa, The Voice of Latin America by Rodrigo H. Villa, that is basically all about who she was and why she was important. And it's pretty great. Even better, I think, is The Curse of the Gothic Symphony. I am a big classical music fan. I love classical music. Cannot get enough of classical music. I've never.
It's bizarre to me. Why do you love classical music?
Because I studied piano when I was a kid. I was exposed to it. My mother loved classical. My father loved classical. It's in my blood. But I've never heard of Havergal Brian, a British composer who wrote a symphony, his first symphony, which is considered like the most unplayable thing in history because it's ridiculous. You have to have 2 full orchestras, 4 brass bands, and 5 choirs to perform this thing. It's like this. He's one of those typical British twins, like, I'm going to write a piece of music that no one will ever perform because they're never going to be able to find a place big enough to put that many people. And if they do, there won't be anyone left to be in the audience. I'm just going to defy humanity. So that's what he did. Let me repeat that. 2 orchestras, 4 brass bands, 5 choirs. How do you do that? Anyway, this is about...
I'm sorry, what did you talk about?
This is about a group of people who are determined to actually perform it. And it's like it takes 2 hours to perform, and it's really freaking interesting. And it's called The Curse of the Gothic Symphony, and it's really, really good.
That's a great way.
And from the same company, those are both. All those films I just mentioned are from First Run Features. This is not a documentary, but it is also from First Run Features. It's worth mentioning. It's a Belgian film, only about an hour and a half long, called The Brownian Movement by a very, very talented filmmaker named Nanook Leopold. And really, there are a lot of movies out there, most of them from France, all about sex and relationships, and usually about female sexuality and all this kind of stuff. This is probably the best one I've seen in years, and that's saying a lot. So this is about a woman who is a doctor who leads a double life where she basically whores herself to patients.
Yeah,
and it is, boy, it's daring and fascinating and very, very nicely put together. Also, real quickly, last 3 here, I want to mention The Trials of Muhammad Ali. Is is essentially about the moment when Ali went from being Cassius Clay to Ali, when he converted to Islam and wouldn't serve in the Vietnam War. And, I was like this
Are you saying
incendiary
Muhammad
moment.
Ali is a terrorist?
It's exactly what I'm saying. Anyway, this is a look back at that entire moment in time, and it's for people who aren't familiar with it, it's definitely worth checking out. It's not an extraordinary doc in style, but it's definitely great subject matter and very nicely put together. And then To Chris Marker, An Unsent Letter is a love letter documentary by a filmmaker named Emiko Omori, who just loves Chris Marker. And if you don't know about Chris Marker, of course, is the reclusive French filmmaker who made La Jetée, which is a source material for 12 Monkeys. But La Jetée, La Jetée is all still images and voiceover. I mean, it's
Well, so is 12 Monkeys. There's 24 still images every second.
Yeah, whatever.
That was good.
I know, I like 12 Monkeys.
No, I'm saying 12 Monkeys is also still images. There's 24 still images every second.
I get that. Thank you.
That was funny.
That was very funny.
Thank you.
Chris Marker is also famous for his little cat drawing obsessions, and that's a whole different subject that we can get into. But anyway, so this is basically a love letter film to Chris Marker. And what's weird is that almost nobody has actually talked about Chris Marker from a documentary standpoint before. So here you go. David Thompson and Tom Luddy and Michael Schamberg and a lot of other really interesting people, including David Peoples, who wrote 12 Monkeys, all show up in here. And
you know there's going to be a 12 Monkeys show. Series.
Yes, I know. And you know who the showrunner is on that?
Star Wars?
Natalie Chides.
Oh, what? Natalie Chides?
Good grief.
Really?
Yes.
Natalie Chides.
You have no. Haven't you met?
Wait.
Haven't you met Natalie?
Natalie Chides?
You had to have met Natalie at one of my parties or something.
No idea who you're talking about.
Natalie's like one of my closest friends from film school. She's the showrunner on that series.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I do remember you talking about a girl named Natalie.
Okay.
But you never said her last name.
Okay, well that's Natalie. She's the showrunner on that. She's been
right?
she's been a TV writer for years and years and years on tons of shows. She was one of the head writers on Heroes when it was on.
In that case, I wish the show
yes.
well.
Heroes had a problem with the writing staff at the time, which is that they had veteran TV writers and then a bunch of comic book guys who didn't know how to write screenplays. But they were supposed to bring the hero, and the TV writers were supposed to bring the drama, and it was supposed to mesh, and it never really meshed as well as I think anybody wanted it to. But anyway, so that's Natalie's new gig.
Yay! Now
Yay,
I
Natalie.
hope it does gangbusters.
Yay,
Hope it
Natalie.
does boffo business.
I still remember sitting in the bullpen editing our projects together. She was like over there,
yeah,
I was
wait,
up there.
wait, what's that noise?
And then,
Is
and
that
then
you dropping
name dropping,
name?
yeah. And then seriously, I'm not kidding you. So this was. Here's let me give you first year film school. Okay, so Alexander Payne is the production PA for one class, and then what are you looking at me like? Oh,
Nothing.
okay.
I'm
all right.
I'm listening, rapt. I'm rapt attention.
Okay, very good. So anyway, yes, fine. Okay, so anyway, you remember we talked to my PA, John Reese, who was who made that documentary on graffiti a few weeks ago.
right.
Okay, so John was PA for our class, and Norman was in that class with me.
Right.
That's where I met Norman. And then Natalie was in the class that had Alexander Payne as their PA. And then literally, it was like after the first weekend of shooting, our first project, Natalie's the first person in the bullpen. Bam, she's right there. She's cutting her project, she's shooting stuff. She was aggressive. She was already on top of it. And I was the second person in. And then I came in, I think, like maybe she was in on like Sunday. She started on Sunday, and I think it was Monday I started cutting my stuff. And by Monday evening, guess who comes walking in with just like boatloads of just armfuls filled with crap that he shot over the weekend?
Muhammad Ali.
Norman. I mean, and look, we all shot stuff, but you don't. But Norman shot like 10 times as much film as anybody else. He shot like more film in his opening weekend than anybody shot on the rest of their projects in all of film school.
Because he ran around with a camera going, dude.
he shot so much stuff. I could not believe how much film he came in with. It's like, are you serious? Like, how did you have time for that? And he's, it was Zach he was shooting. He was running around shooting Zach.
We'll go back in the day. Zach
Yeah.
was like a handsome leading man type.
Yeah.
I saw Zach the other night.
Yeah.
Zach, not a handsome leading man type
Anyway,
anymore.
this is all inside stuff. People listening to the podcast are tuning out now. Last documentary I'm going to make mention of before Mark unleashes on television. This is from Icarus Films Home Video. Is Far from Vietnam. And Far From Vietnam is speaking of Chris Marker, Far From Vietnam is an amazing collaboration from 1967 that included, are you ready for this? Jean-Luc Godard, Joris Ivans, William Klein, Claude Lelouch, Chris Marker, and Alain Resnais.
Lame.
And it is a legendary documentary, basically shot in Vietnam and at American anti-war protests, and it features interviews with a variety of people. I won't give any of the names away because as they show up in the film, you just kind of go, that's interesting. And forget about politics. Forget about whether or not your politics may conform with this film in particular. You have to put it in as a snapshot in time. It is a fascinating, fascinating film, and it is a legendary film, and anyone who is interested in the subject or those filmmakers must see this movie.
No. Let me tell you something.
What?
In a month, you realize that one of my all-time favorite documentaries is being released by Criterion.
And that would be what?
Hearts and Minds.
Yes, I know.
Hearts and Minds, baby.
I know.
I am all over that.
Very
So
true. Very
good.
true.
Anyway, speaking of so good, how about The Many Lives of Dobie Gillis Season 3? Now, this show is really only famous for two reasons. One is it's one of the first shows, if not the first show, maybe, that for sitcoms, this thing ran from, I think, 59 to 63.
Yeah.
One of the first shows, if not the first shows, the first sitcom, to actually have teenagers as the main characters. You know, it was always Father Knows Best, and the matronly mother, and the father. This one starred, Dobie and Maynard, played by, of course, our favorite pot smoker, Bob Denver.
Yeah.
Our favorite pot smoker. You know, Bob Denver and Dawn Wells had this weird, little pot party thing going on. You know that, right?
During Gilligan's Island?
No. This is like in the year 2000s. I mean, Bob Denver died in 2005, but
Right.
and Dawn Wells is still around.
Yeah.
But they had Bob Denver, huge pot smoker, right?
Yeah, we know that.
He was pulled over, right? Dawn Wells also pulled over for pot smoking.
Yeah.
Now, when Bob Denver was pulled over for pot smoking,
Yeah.
this was in the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
He had originally told the cops he had gotten the pot from Dawn Wells.
Really?
Yes. And then when he actually when they deposed him, or when he was in court, he had to say it for real.
That's great.
He didn't mention her name when he was actually in court.
Oh, that's too funny.
Testifying as to where he got the pot.
Great.
But originally told the cops he got it from Dawn Wells. And Dawn Wells was also a pothead. Dawn Wells was pulled over for
That's
swerving in her lane
fantastic.
when she was driving, and she was
great.
she was on pot.
And the only reason they were able to afford it was because because Jim Backus lent them some money.
Yeah, this is before
they were pulled over for smoking pot, and on the other hand, the professor was pulled over for a smoking pot that turned out to be a bomb,
a lie detector. Or something like that.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know where that was going.
The bridge was out on the road to comedy.
It was.
Anyway, Dobie Gillis, season 3. Tell your parents.
Yeah.
Also, season 4 of Rookie Blue. It's on ABC. It's a Canadian show, which means it's like a retarded brother of an American TV show. Like an American TV cop show, it's badass, gets it done. Canadian shows, a little retarded.
Oh, dude.
Yes.
Right now.
This moment?
Literally 10 minutes ago.
Yes.
Do you know what news just broke?
What?
This is breaking news. Never happens while we're on while we're doing a podcast. This is the first time ever breaking news has happened while we're doing a podcast.
CNN.com?
As long as we're talking about television, this plugs in perfectly. It's too bad we're not talking about 77 Sunset Strip or the FBI. Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. just passed away at age 77. No, not at age 77. That's 77 Sunset Strip. He had to be 80 or something. How old was he?
Oh, Ephraim Zimbalist.
He was 95. Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. 95.
Good for
Rock
him.
on, dude. Oh my gosh.
Good for him.
He died at his home in Solvang.
He lived in Solvang. Solvang's a cool little town.
Wearing wooden shoes. No, I don't know.
All right, Laverne and Shirley, final. By the way, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., cool.
Yeah, sweet.
He's cool.
I can't remember what comic. There was a comic who said, whose parents completely lacked imagination? The parents of Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.
Why is that?
Because it's Junior. It's it's a joke. It's an unusual name, and they decided to give it to him.
Why not?
Wow,
That's awesome.
bummer.
That is true. He's cool.
Yeah.
He definitely had a moment in the 70s, no doubt about it. Anyway, we have also on DVD, not Blu-ray, the final season of Laverne and Shirley. That means that this is from 1983.
Yeah.
The show is kind of running out of steam at that point, but what are you going to do? The last season was had some decent guest stars, including Hugh Hefner. But at this point, I think that the inspiration was gone. So there you go. So that's Laverne and Shirley final season. I would only get this, obviously, if you're a complete and total Laverne and Shirley completist. Otherwise, pass on that.
Right.
A couple weeks ago, we talked about Little House on the Prairie season 1. Now we have Little House on the Prairie season 2. I'm glad that they're releasing these quickly as opposed to what they used to do. So anyway, it's good. And again, the great thing about these is that all the episodes are broadcast length because over the years they get syndicated and they get chopped up, so there's more commercial time. But here in these Blu-rays, they get them back to now. Back in the day, like a 1 hour show was like 52 minutes or something.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays a 1 hour show is like 38 minutes or some ridiculous amount. So you get a lot more bang for your buck on these older shows that are restored to broadcast length. So good stuff. Little House on the Prairie season 2. When I was a kid, I did like this show.
Well, that's nice.
You don't even know what I said.
It's a Little House on the Prairie, man. I can't. All right, so here's what else is happening this week on television. The China Beach show that I always rant about is season 3. It's they're releasing the individual seasons now, and season 3 is out, and season 3 is awesome, and includes a cast and crew episode commentaries and interviews, and it is awesome. It's just I love this show. It just doesn't get better than this. And season 3 is really where this show just gets deep and it just gets hard. And wow, I mean, it's such an amazing show. So if you've never seen it, you got to see it. But start with season 1 because there is an arc to the whole series. It's really extraordinary. The big deal this week, the really, really big deal, Mark.
Yes.
Blu-ray releases of the first seasons from CBS and Paramount of The Andy Griffith Show, The Honeymooners Classic 39 episodes, and I Love Lucy. The Honeymooners Classic 39 episodes, of course, this is just all in one set. This is a full 5-disc set that includes some of those amazing episodes that we all grew up with, at least that I grew up with. And I got to tell you, in HD, it's a little weird. Because this was all, kinescope originally. And it's a little weird seeing that stuff converted to HD. And I'm not sure that it... I'll get more to this later.
You realize that I think I said this last time. I'm distantly related to the director of The Honeymooners.
I know, you've said that. That's so sweet.
Now, what's funny is that actually my father once did a family tree. Right? He printed it out, went to Ancestry.com. And Frank Satinstein, my grandmother's maiden name was Satinstein. Frank Satinstein, not in my father's family tree, but my father's family tree, I don't think was broad enough to encompass the more medium to long distance relations of which Frank Satinstein would be to me.
Right.
But you can actually trace Mark Lawrence Kaiser to the director of The Honeymooners.
Pretty awesome. Well, here's the other thing. Andy Griffith Show and I Love Lucy.
Dud.
As long as I'm moving away from all of your narcissistic name-dropping.
Oh, come on. You name-dropped Alexander Payne.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't get my name dropped.
These were shot on film. And I Love Lucy, of course, was shot by a legendary silent film, German expressionist cinematographer. So, it was... and by the way, not to go too far afield, the big... People look at these shows today and they're like, oh, yeah, three-camera comedies. You realize when I Love Lucy was shot as a 3-camera show, they did not have zoom lenses. They did not have everything all linked and interconnected and some guy in a booth looking at all the different cameras and doing take camera 1, that did not happen. This was shot on film with separate cameras that all had a fixed focal length lens. It had to be edited after the fact. And The Honeymooners, of course, was live. That was kinescope. But with I Love Lucy, if you wanted a close-up of Lucy, that camera guy had to know that when that part of the script came, he had to truck in and hit his mark and be on focus because the second that Lucy delivered that line, as it was all, in live time, he had to have that shot was going to, otherwise it was going to be ruined. I mean, it was the camera work choreography on I Love Lucy is breathtaking. I mean, people don't understand how difficult it was to do. That show is amazingly put together.
I disagree.
Anyway,
you know why? Because today we have The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, whatever.
And that's even better.
So here's the thing. all these shows are great. These are all legendary television shows. I'm not gonna review the content of the shows. What I'm gonna say is that on HD, yes, I can't help but recommend this stuff because it's the best quality you're ever going to see. However, none of these shows, especially I Love Lucy, were shot intending for people to see them in that high resolution. I remember when I saw The Adventures of Robin Hood in a 2K projection. And the Warner Brothers guy was telling us, he's like, we restore these things at 4K, but we don't recommend people necessarily look at it at 2K. And the problem with The Adventures of Robin Hood was that when it got to super high resolution, you realize that they never intended for it to be that resolution. It was shot because they knew what the film was going to give them, and that it would hide the fact that the chainmail was actually spray-painted sweaters, and that the trees were fake, and you can see all that in high def. When you go to 4K, when you really... But they printed it for projection at a much foggier, murkier resolution because they knew that they could hide all the artifice. So I think there's some of that problem here as well. I Love Lucy is... You can see... honestly, Desi Arnaz has the worst teeth in the world. Those are like cigarette and coffee brown, nasty teeth. And he's got bad complexion, and Lucy's complexion isn't good. You can tell they're both smokers, which I'll touch on in a second. And suddenly you're very aware of the fact that I never was meant to see these people in high def. They shot this show in 35 to be seen on a little tiny black and white television in the early 1950s that would hide all the flaws. And for that reason, I'm going to say, even though I want people to double dip all this stuff, don't get rid of your DVDs. Your regular DVDs are still going to give you a much truer representation of how the show is meant to be seen.
Who's going to own 2 versions of I Love Lucy?
I will.
Yeah, well, it's because you get them all for free.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Anyway, look,
here's the other thing. Here's the other thing that's
yeah.
awesome. You get to see these. They have not only the actual regular broadcast versions. There's 3 different versions of every episode on here, but you see the original, not just like the ones that we're familiar with from the reruns with the da 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 and the heart and the whole thing. The original openings, the cigarette openings.
Yeah.
Right? With the whole sponsor and then the breaks.
That's
and
the
Lucy's
best.
there with Desi Arnaz there smoking, and we love it. And they're just, going at it. All of that cigarette stuff, that's all here. So you get to see the original shows as they were originally aired the first time, which I'd never seen before. And it's kind of horrifying. You're like, oh my gosh, it's like this is just a poison society. Hey, let's cancer. Cancer brings you tonight's episode. We hope
Tonight's episode brought to you by cancer.
Brought to you by somebody with a hole in their throat in 30 years. It's
well, the Blu-ray also has the original pilot.
Yep.
Which is great. It has some episodes of Lucy's radio series.
Yep.
My Favorite Husband.
Yep.
And it's good. There's audio commentary. Now, when they say audio commentary by Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, it's interviews that are older interviews that were pieced together and laid onto the episode.
Correct.
So there are audio commentaries, quote unquote, by Lucy and Desi Arnaz.
All right, Mark, we're getting close on the end of time here. I want to. There's a movie coming out soon. A studio film. Yes, there's a studio film coming out soon. Just one. One studio film.
Wow.
And it's got a great big monster in it. Do you know what film I'm talking about? I am not talking about the Melissa McCarthy movie. So no.
Oh.
The other big monster.
Godzilla.
That's
it's going to be awesome.
Yes.
It's going to be awesome.
Okay, so Godzilla's coming out. You're looking forward to it. I'm
it's going to be
Wade. Okay.
Wait, can I tell you what it's going to be?
What's it going to be?
Awesome.
Okay. So because Godzilla's coming out, everybody is dumping their Godzilla library. They're like, all right, let's piggyback on this, get some Godzilla action. I don't know if this is going to do anything for anybody, but here's what we got. In short order, Mill Creek is giving us the Godzilla the series, 40 animated episodes of the Godzilla series from television, which I never saw, which I never knew even existed. Not very good. Godzilla as a television character, I really don't understand the point of this. I really don't. Anyway, but there it is. And it even has 2 unaired episodes. So it's the animation's meh, but it just doesn't make any sense. Godzilla's not a TV character. I just don't get it. I play Godzilla with my daughter. Have I mentioned this?
Let me guess. You grit your teeth and you put your hands out and go.
No.
Like
she doesn't know how to build anything with blocks, but I do. So I will build things with blocks, and then I will say to her, sweetheart, look, it's the biggest building in Tokyo. And she smiles, and she comes over, and she knocks it down. She knows how to play Godzilla.
Wait. You're telling me that
Yeah.
you know how to build things with blocks?
I do.
Wow.
Impressive, right?
What don't you know, Wade?
Very little. Okay. And then we got 2 other sets of Godzilla movies. The first one here is from the... I got to get the name of the releasing company correct. Kraken Releasing.
Release the Kraken. Kraken
Exactly.
Releasing.
Kraken Releasing.
That is good comedy, Wade.
It's pretty good, right? Anyway, Kraken Releasing is responsible for these, and these are all original Godzilla movies, and the American and the Japanese titles are on the front here because you get to watch this in English or in Japanese. You have your choice. Godzilla on Monster Island, otherwise known as Godzilla vs. Gigan. You have Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, otherwise known as Godzilla versus Hedorah. I like Hedorah better. If I were a Smog Monster, I'd want people to call me Hedorah. It just sounds cooler, right? And then we have Godzilla versus the Sea Monster, otherwise known as Ebirah, Horror of the Deep. And all of these are original cheesy Japanese Godzilla movies, a guy in a suit with really bad special effects and horrible terrorized small Japanese children. Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster, arguably my favorite of the bunch because it's utterly ridiculous. But Godzilla on Monster Island is one that a lot of people love because it's just a lot of people in suits walking around. The Toho Godzilla collection comes to us from Sony, and these are all double features. And again, they're all terrible, but they're all really good Blu-ray. These are all Blu-rays, by the way, with the exception of the Godzilla television series. One of them is Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2 and Godzilla versus Space Godzilla. It's like, wow, really? There's a Space Godzilla? Those are just utterly ridiculous. Godzilla versus the Destroyer or Destroya and Godzilla versus Megaguirus. Those are both kind of just ridiculous and stupid. Godzilla Final Wars and Godzilla Tokyo SOS, like the other, every time Godzilla attacks it isn't Tokyo SOS. And then actually these are the 2 that I think are worth getting. If you're only going to get one out of all of these, you want to get Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, which is the 3-headed thing, and then Godzilla and Mothra, the Battle for Earth, because what's more terrifying than a giant moth? And then, just because they feel like it's not fair for Godzilla to get all the attention, we also have from Mill Creek 2 4-movie collections, Gamera Volume 1 and Gamera Volume 2, there's 4 movies on each of these, so 8 Gamera movies altogether. Gamera the Giant Monster versus Barugon versus Gyaos versus Viras versus Jiger, Guiron, Zigra, the Super Monster. It's the same thing. He's a giant turtle. Mark? He's a giant turtle.
Yes, that's fantastic.
Gamera, he's a giant turtle. He's a turtle monster.
That movie's going to be awesome.
There you go. All right, and that should do it, Mark. We're done this week.
Yay!
So, all right. With that, everybody, Mark, do we have any? Are we even gonna? Have we given up on having an outro?
Oh, we did dabble with that. I thought we had one we liked, but never
we?
really gained any traction. Well, if our listeners would like to email us at gods@digigods.com
Let's put some more
or
outros.
hit up the Facebook page, we can revisit the outro situation.
Yeah. All right. And meanwhile, hit us with emails or Vox boxes. Please send us your Vox boxes. We like them at gods@digigods.com. We'll see you next week.